Good Tavach, everybody. So I'll tell you a Maisa. So kids have games that they play with each other. So sometimes, honestly, this is a little bit before my time, but kids would play like, cowboys and Indians, right? Or cops and robbers, things like that. So there's a Maisa about what young tzadikim would play. So the fifth Lubavitch Rebbe was Rav Shalom Tov Ber, the rebbe-chassid. That's who was known as the rebbe-chassid of Lubavitch. And so he had a brother, Rav Zalman Aaron. So it's Rav Shalom Tov Ber and Rav Zalman Aaron. So this is a Maisa. Rav Zalman Aaron was about a year or two older than the rebbe-chassid. So this is a Maisa when they were about 5 or 6 years old. So Rav Zalman Aaron is, let's say, 6 or so, and the rebbe-chassid is about 5 years old. And so what do kids at that age, in that place, with those neshamas, what do they play? They're not playing cops and robbers. They're playing rebbe-chassid. So that's what it was. So one of them would pretend to be the rebbe, and the other one would pretend to be the chassid coming in for yichidus. So this is the Maisa. So they say to each other, I guess it was like a rainy day, whatever it is. They have nothing else to do. So they say to each other, let's play rebbe-chassid. Okay. So Zalman Aaron says to his brother, Shalom Dov Ber, no, so you'll be the Rebbe and I'll be the Chassid. And so the young Rashab says, no, I can't pretend to be the Rebbe. There's only one Rebbe, that's the grandfather, at the time was the Tzemach Tzedek. So he says, I can't even allow myself to pretend to be the Rebbe. You be the Rebbe, I'll be the Chassid. Okay, fine. So Zalman Aaron, you have the sensitivity. So Zalman Aaron is pretending to be the Rebbe, and the Rashab is going to be the Chassid, come into the Rebbe for Yechidus. Now, there's all different reasons why a Chassid would go to the Rebbe, for a bracha, for a dracha. In Chabad, definitely at that time, the mahalach was that by Yechidus, it was only for one of two things. It wasn't for Gashmias, Dikin, Yanim. It was for one of two things. Either something in Haskalah, in other words, some inyan in Torah that you're struggling with, that you have a kasha in learning, or something about Yiddishkeit that you want to ask the Rebbe. That's something about Seichel, something Haskalah, or something Avodah, something inyan in your personal Avodas Hashem that you're struggling with, the Yetzirah, something like that you need Chizik in, you need Hadrach in. Those are the two inyanim. And so that's what they're playing, rebbe-chassid. So the Reb Zalman Aaron is the Rebbe, the Rashab is the Chassid, and he's preparing himself for Yechidus. So he's putting on a gartel and pacing and saying Tillim, going to the mikveh, what the Chassidim used to do, and so on, what they still do, and that's what the Rebbe Shab is doing at 5 years old. So he comes into the Rebbe, and the Rebbe asks him, "No, what's the inyan of this yichidus?" So the Rebbe Shab says, one inyan in Haskalah and one inyan in Avodah. Okay, so the Rebbe Zalman Aaron says, "And what's the inyan in Haskalah?" So the Rebbe Shab says, "My shaila in Haskalah is to the Rebbe, what is a yid? What is a yid?" So Zalman, Aaron is, pretending to stroke his beard. He's 6 years old. He says, "What is a yid? You know what a yid is? A yid is fire. Yid is fire." So the Rebbe Shab says, "If a yid is fire, then Rebbe, why don't I get burnt when I touch you?" So Zalman said, "Because fire can't burn fire. Not only is the Rebbe fire, every yid's a fire. So Mela, fire can't burn fire." That was the din in Haskalah. What about the din in Avodah? So the Rebbe Shab says to the Rebbe, to the Rebbe, he says whatever inyan that he's trying to work on, that he's struggling with, whatever a 5-year-old, a 5-year-old that's the future Rashab, says whatever the inyan is. And the Rav Zalman Aaron begins to give him an eitzah, hadracha, and avodas Hashem. And as Rav Zalman Aaron is giving him an eitzah, so the Rebbe Shab stops, he said, "Hey, Zalman Aaron, you're not playing right. We have to end the game. You don't know how to play." So Rav Zalman says, "Shalom Dover, what's the problem? You asked me a shayla on avodas Hashem. I'm giving you an eight, so that's how rebbe-chassid works." So he said, No, Zalman Aaron. When the Rebbe hears that another yid is struggling with something in avodas Hashem, the first thing the Rebbe does is give a krechs. That's the first thing the Rebbe does. After he krechs and gives a sigh, then he can give an eitzah. But you didn't give a krechs. You don't know how to play. We can't play this game. You have to first practice. That's the ma'isa. No, it's not a gewaldige ma'isa. Not only is it a gewaldige ma'isa because you see what these neshamas were playing, what their games were, at such a young age. But it's an unbelievable lesson. When a yid comes to you, you don't have to be a rebbe. When a yid comes to you, and just talking about their avodas Hashem and their inyanim that they're struggling with, whatever it be, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever the inyan is, the first response is to krachs. The first response is to feel the person's pain and to be miskasher to that yid. And then the eitzes come. You have to give eitzes, but But the first inyan, and sometimes the biggest inyan, is to give that krachs. And we have to imagine also, by the way, it's also with us, the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Rebbeinu Shalom is also our Rebbe, right? And we come to Rebbeinu Shalom with our inyanim and our peklach. And we also have to believe that the first thing the Rebbeinu Shalom does in response to our yichidus with him is that he krachs. That's the first thing he does. And then he gives eitzes, and he gives hashpah and shefa, and he fixes our problems, B'ez Hashem. But to realize the Rebbeinu Shalom feels our pain, we have to feel other Yidden's pain. And that krechs, that's like Rabbi Nachman writes in the Kutim Ram, there's a whole Torah that Rabbi Nachman says that when a Yid gives a krechs, that itself is already bringing the shefa. That already brings the shefa, that krechs. So to krechs for another Yid is the biggest thing in the world. Hashem should bless us, that we should be zaycha taka to be niskashet to tzadikim, and to feel the pain of other Yidden, to get the answers that we need to get, and we should be zaycha that this week should be a week of shefa, bracha, and atzlacha on all levels, with exalted, tzedek, and Harav Yussie Zakutinsky. Amen.